Folks. Hey, it's Monday about 4 a.m. And yesterday I went, actually, I think for the first time in my life, and saw live belly dancing. So I live within walking distance. Well, I live in a city in Southern California called Glendale on the edge of Los Angeles. And I live a couple of blocks from the Glendale Civic Auditorium, which, as far as I know, is a city owned auditorium. Um, it's relatively small, I think, as civic auditoriums go. It has good events. Some of them interest me, some of them don't. Well, that's like any venue, of course, but every year they've hosted, it's called the Cairo, as in Cairo, Egypt, Shimmy Quake. So, shimmying is a movement you can make with your body, and quake would refer to earthquake. So, it's the Shimmy Quake, and it's a belly dance festival convention. Uh, they have booths selling mostly belly dancing clothing, uh, and they have food there, which I think they bring in a crew that creates the kind of food you might associate with belly dancing, like type Middle Eastern food. And I saw shawarma for sale, which I think is an Indian dish. I happen not to eat, but it looked good. If I had been hungrier, I would have eaten. Um, and then they have belly dance. Oh, that's my wristband from the show. And then this is the program. Um, and as I said, oh, I don't think I said it was both Saturday and Sunday, and a full day of belly dancing. The doors open to the public at 11, and I was there early. I was there probably 10:15. Um, well, I wanted to sort of, quote, get the lay of the land, unquote, see what was actually going to happen. I read that there was belly dancing performances, but I didn't know if they were going to be interspersed through the day with big gaps in between. I wanted to see what I'd get for my $20. I wasn't so interested in the merchandise or the food, but I definitely wanted to see the performances. As it turned out, it was, well, a lot of belly dancing. There were some gaps where, well, let's see, they had a block of belly dancing in the morning. So I was there when the belly dancing started at about 11:30 a.m. They had a long block of belly dancing, and then they did another block, and that was people dancing, I think, routines that they had practiced to music that they knew. And then they did a block called improvisation or freestyling, and that was a competition. But between the two blocks, there was a little bit of downtime, not huge, but a little bit. And I think it would have been that way all through the day. I left after 3.5 hours of dancing. It was interesting and fun. There definitely are some good moves, and I liked it because for me it was different. At some point, it got a little repetitive, and perhaps I got a little tired. I don't know what level of skill these belly dancers were, and I don't know what differentiates what a really skillful dancer can do versus one who's medium skillful or low skill. I'm guessing that in the morning, maybe the dancers aren't as good. I don't know for sure. That it all heats up as the day goes by and on into the night, but I don't know that for sure. I mean, if you think of a rock concert, you get your openers who aren't quite as good, although they're good. And then finally, at the end of the evening, you get your headliners. So it might have worked that way, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, it was fine. For a while, the dancers were performing to their recorded tracks, and then eventually they got a live band in there. The Indian sound, I shouldn't say Indian, I should say the belly dance sounding drums, it's just like Middle Eastern, Indian. I'm not an expert on the countries involved or the region. I guess North Africa and Egypt are maybe the birthplace of belly dance or the place where it's the most popular. Um, but anyway, but I think it was interesting to see a new form of dance. There wasn't, I thought it would be more, quote, spectacular, unquote, moves with the hips and belly. It wasn't necessarily super spectacular that way. I think a lot of it was just sort of sensual, sort of dancing. Um, but there was definitely some movement of the hips and belly. And that was good. I found myself moving in my chair, maybe clapping, which others in the audience did. It started out as a fairly small audience, but the audience grew. I think when I left, most of the chairs were full. It was probably 150 people watching the dancing, and then a lot of people shopping at the booths. And I was sort of moving in my chair. Do you folks do chair dancing? It's kind of like, you can kind of move in the chair to what you're watching. Although I kind of moderated it because I wanted to dance and move because the music's quite compelling, but I also didn't want to interfere with anyone else's experience. So I'm thinking maybe too much movement would bother other spectators, although maybe not because it is a dance event. So to some degree, if the audience is kind of dancing and moving in their chairs, maybe there's a lot of tolerance for that. Anyway, it was fun to do that. Uh, I did put badges on my shirt. I think that in my mind, the belly dancers um, are somewhat into their jewelry, um, but I didn't put on bracelets. I do have quite a few bracelets, and I could have worn a few, but they do kind of make my hands hot. But I wish I had worn them. It would have put me more in the spirit and fit in better. But I didn't. But I didn't. Um, I did check my image in the bathroom mirror to see if I kind of fit with the belly dancing crowd, I suppose. And I looked okay. The belly dancing crowd likes exotic clothing. You probably know exotic belly dancing clothes. And but having slightly long hair made me a little bit, just a little bit exotic, or a little different enough that I fit in a little bit. Um, let's see, what else do I want to say? Yeah, I felt the dance became a bit repetitive as the hours went by. So that that got possibly a little boring, but if I had stayed on, it's still pretty fun to just watch people move in ways that where they're trying to feel good and look good. So I think it would have been okay. I think I would go next year. I look for things within walking distance, and where I live, there's not that many venues within walking distance. It's mostly residential. So I'm a little bit limited in what I can find for entertainment and, let's say, education. I mean, for me, going to seeing a new kind of dancing is educational as well as entertaining. Um, so yeah, I would probably go next year simply because I'm limited, and also it was fun. It was really well designed event. The They have a nice stage there. They had a nice backdrop for the dancers, which looked kind of like a street scene, like a street in the Middle East. In my mind, not being an expert on the appearance of street scenes there, but like a looked like a painting of a street. No people on the street, just the street going up the middle, and um, like one story buildings on either side, maybe shops or restaurants. Um, One thing when I watch dance, I do look for that fresh move, that move I haven't seen before, and it can be a small move. And I saw it here and there in the in the belly dance. So that's nice. When you see those moves, you can add them to your dance to keep your dance fresh. Um, and I felt like maybe watching a bunch of belly dancers got me sort of into my own. It felt like it loosened up my hips a little and my belly, so that was nice. That could be something I'd add to my dance down the road. I mean, I've done that anyway. I mean, I like to dance. I dance definitely here and there, and I think one of my moves or part of my approach is to use the belly and the hips, but I might do it a little more now. Um, so, all in all, a good experience. If you haven't seen belly dance live, I think you'd enjoy it probably. If you're already into it, this was a nice event. I don't know how it compares to other events. Maybe it's quite similar. Oh, if I think of something that I neglected to say in the video or want to change something I said, I'll write it in the description under the video. So look for that.